We've got Steve on remotely from the sunny south. So can you hear us okay, Steve?
I can hear you.
So, all right, sounds good. We are looking at the minutes from January 17th, 2023. The comments, have you had a chance to look at them?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, minutes approved, thank you. All right. Brad, you have anything for us today?
I thought you were going to get the auditor's report first, or CF first.
He's on here first, I don't know why.
I don't know. I'll call it auditors.
Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, so,
I mean, if you want that, because that's it. Tony. I mean, and I have right here too, so.
I just bypassed it, okay.
Yeah. And I'm sitting right next to it. Okay.
I'm just nervous this morning.
I understand. Okay. First we have up the bat, the utilities paid over the wow. And the amount on that is $37,803.71. $37,803.71. And that's the AEP, Verizon, Lipscomb, all those things that are paid now. And you should have gotten that. I passed it out, and Steve, hopefully you got what I scanned and sent to you. I scanned and sent to you everything I'm handing out to these guys this morning.
Yep, I got it. Make
Okay.
motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, motion carries.
All right. We have the payroll AP claims. And as you all know, the payroll AP claims, the benefits and so forth that State Board of Accounts told us we had to submit and get it into the record with the commissioners. So that is what we were doing. The amount on that is, this is for Jeremy Monthly and payroll. $311,677.07, $311,677.07.
All right, any questions on that?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion carries. You got a lot of papers.
Next, we have the Allied Weekly Health Insurance claims. The amount on that is, once I gotta change something. The amount is $16,822.04. We had carryover credit from last week. And everything that you're approving today is pharmacy. And the amount is that because of the credit that carried over from last week. So it's $16,822.04. You can see that math on that second page there. All right.
We're good. Did you also get a copy of that, Steve?
You should have.
Of the medical claims?
Oh, no, he would not have gotten that, no.
Okay. Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All right, motion
I
carries.
only sent him the things that I handed out to you guys this morning, actually.
All right.
So that was most of my staff, so. All right, next we have the monthly needs and measures report. That we need approval to enter into the records that was submitted by Inspector Van Hackman. I pass that out. Get you those?
Yeah.
In the order.
Make a motion to accept that report.
Second.
There is not too many inspections on there.
Good.
One.
But he had done a lot previously.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
okey doke.
Got a motion and second on that. All right, motion carries.
And next we have the animal shelter report that I passed out to you. If you do the math, and I tell you how many they have.
You got the shelter or the
I have both.
Okay.
The shelter you should have gotten too.
I think we might have got that last week. I got them both. Okay. Oh, and shower.
Should have handed one of these out to you.
I'm gonna hold it up.
Now I can make a copy.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
That's 20.
All right, and that's both reports.
That is the animal shelter, remove the animal control separately, just that you keep it separated.
Okay.
So now on to the animal control report.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Gotcha. All right, that's an easy one.
I like the way they do that report.
Yeah, that's the new way of doing it, so that it differentiates state, county, and so forth.
All right, that'll make it easy to keep track of.
Just FYI, periodically, the treasurer's office works with us and we see how much is in checking and how much is in reserve on health insurance. I pass that out to you before the meeting started. We currently have in checking $107,351.99. In a reserve, $3,575,760. And for a total of $3,683,112.09 reserve and checking. This is all the stuff. Insurance and stuff.
I think that's something we have to take action on.
Okay. The insurance proposals, measurements, that done. Do that. I think that's all for me.
Did we,
The new insurance comes later.
okay.
Gotcha. It's on the agenda.
All right.
I'll let Mark handle that actually. He's got the proposals over here.
Very good. Brad?
No, insurance is that after.
Till he's done, my turn. And this is not gonna be like the last couple, I'm gonna find it to go over.
Good. All right.
So the first thing we'll start with, the dump truck we're trading in for the new one that's being built. I got the title here, Tony was gracious enough to get that for me, I need to have you sign it.
Okay.
I don't think we need to mention the title sign yet.
Might as well.
Okay. So move.
Second.
All right.
I believe your signature.
You're purchasing though, right?
No, this is our,
Right, it is, that is a trip, pretty good towards the middle.
All right. Gotcha.
And then while you're doing that, just a heads up, trying to get this out. Over the weekend, we had more signs stolen. So just getting that out there. We have been using locking nuts on the back of them, which is a specialty nut. You can't just get them off. You need to print your name also. And they are working. There's a couple they tried to get. And since the one nut was a locking nut, they got the one off and then the sign just swung down. They didn't get it. So we're taking some measures to try and help prevent this. But yes, it is still going on. The sheriff's department is looking into it still. So there wasn't as many this time, at least. It was only 5, but still, And then the next thing I have is our draw for the month. Yep, I should do, I can fill in, you the cell, the price. I can't write on. So I have the monthly draw I'm passing out. You, yeah, I can never remember.
I'll move it to put the figures in for the minutes later.
All right.
Is there currently a bill that they're trying to get the restricted side dropped to 40%?
Yeah, I looked at an update this morning a little bit. And yes, that was presented to take the restricted down to 40%, so it'd be a 60-40 split. From what I saw this morning, in the past, you couldn't,
I talked to him about it. Okay.
snow, line, salting, any of that kind of stuff could not be applied to restricted. The bill I saw this morning, it looks like they're going to pass that, so you'll be allowed to take that out of the restricted side.
So it's still gonna be a 50-50.
Yes, the other bill is not, as far as I can tell this morning, has not been presented yet, but yes, they did, this one's moved on. So at least you can take some more of that out of the restricted side when you're out salting and plowing snow.
Okay.
So for January 2023, our MVH, $294,868.45. $894,868.45.
They send it to you. This? No, this.
Very good.
So on the back side, they look at the street draw for January, $45,304.42. $45,304.42.
About the same as last year.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we talk about this every now and then. If you look at the MVH, yeah, it was up just a little bit from last year, but the local road and streets was down a little bit from last year. Not anything drastic, at least.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Any questions on that? I'll make a motion to put this.
Second.
All right.
I'll second.
Good. Proposed and that is it.
All right, now the next thing, kind of been, letting you guys give you a heads up, the preventative maintenance, the federal grants that are out there for preventative maintenance. And we finally been working with some of our firms and we have numbers to them. And I'm presenting a financial commitment letter, which is basically a letter you guys signed stating that, yes, we are willing to commit our share of it if we're awarded the money for the project. If that makes sense. Basically saying that, yes, if we're awarded the money from the federal grant, we will pay our share of it, what these amount to.
Right.
And there's 3 different projects, I've got them written down.
What is the grant? Is it a 50-50 or is
It's
it?
an 80-20. Yeah, the federal grant,
We're the 20,
or the 20%.
we're the 20%, yeah.
So what happens, and I've explained this a little bit before, so these federal programs, you're looking at 4 to 5 years out. And I think I've told you that before. You know, community crossings, year to year. You've got the engineering done ahead of time. That year it goes out to bid. So with these federal programs being stretched out that far, you can, that 80-20 is there, but if you pay for the engineering up front and you get your projects engineered, you're moved toward the front of the list. So instead of waiting 4 or 5 years to have something done, we could have it done, in a year and a half or 2 if we were awarded the money. So what I've done, I've got 3 different financial commitment letters, but for the sake of explaining, I've got a total. So the total cost of the projects would be $2,150,000, $2,150,200. Our share of that would be $671,800. So for the amount of work we're getting done, we really, it's a good program. And by having the engineering done up front, there's a possibility we could have these being done in a year or two.
What are the projects?
So, thank you. I'm ahead of myself. So we have 3 bridges in the county that the deck is worn. And if you've looked, they're basically smooth on top. And you have some spots where you might be seeing the rebar showing, rusting a little bit. So these projects it's called a bridge deck overlay. So what they would come in and basically clean up those tops, prepare them, and then they would put a new overlay on top of them. They'll cover the whole thing. It's a new overlay. You're gaining, at least 5 to 10 years more life out of them. That way you can extend the life up before you have to do a major project. So this preventative maintenance is not, this money cannot be used for like structural elements. It's only for extending the life of them. The basic, you can't do anything structural with them. So the deck overlay qualifies for that. So on County Road 500 North, on County Road 1100 South, and County Road 300 West, the bridges are that these projects would be for.
So were they on a schedule anyway as far as scheduled maintenance? I assume they're on the chosen projects.
No, yeah. Yes, they are scheduled to have this stuff done. Just this way, possibly, we could share in it. I guess that's what you would say.
Do you have any idea what engineering costs would be?
So the engineering cost for the bridge on 500 North would be $95,000 on a $543,000 project. So then you figure our construction costs, and for that, our share would be $184,000. So that's the engineering plus our 20% of the construction.
So would the match grant, would that include, would the engineering be lumped in with that 80-20?
It'd be in our 20%.
Okay.
So yes, they will pay for 80 or an 80-20 split in the engineering costs also. But that's where you start pushing out that 4 to 5 years. And be at the back of the list.
I mean, we still have to fund the entire amount of engineering,
Yes.
but when the project comes through.
No. If we do the engineering up front, it's taken care of.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But if we want to put the engineering in with the other cost, we're going to be years down the road.
So if we pay the engineering, 100%, we get pushed to the front.
Yes, that is correct. There's a possibility, we put the dates in here, that if you guys would okay this, we wouldn't proceed with the engineering until we find out if we're awarded the money or not for the whole project,
Oh,
which would be March.
hey,
Because that's what they're saying. Yes.
well, I assume that our share of that would come out of the Cume Bridge Fund, or where would that money come from?
That is correct, out of the Cume Bridge.
Okay, good. Sounds like a
Yes,
good plan.
these would all be Cume Bridge funds.
Okay.
So it's really 80-20 of the bridge, not of the engineering.
It could be if we wanted to wait the 4 to 5 years and be at the back of the list.
I would see us going ahead and pre-funding the engineering as long as we know that we're going to get the grant.
Yeah, so that's correct. We would not, the engineers, they willing to do this, we have to work together, they'll give us the costs on everything. But no, we will not give them the okay to go ahead until we see we're actually going to be awarded the money.
Sure.
So the other project, the other one on 1100 South, the engineering will be $101,000. And our total share will be $225,000, all part of the construction, plus pay for engineering, on a $717,000 project. And the one on 300 West, the engineering will be 105,000. But with our portion of the construction, the engineering would be 262,000, and it's an $889,000 project.
And this is all federal money, it's not state.
No, this is federal.
Federal.
Yes, we'd be applying for a federal grant.
So we would still be able to, well, and I guess we wouldn't have to use any of our community crossings money.
No, community crossings is totally separate.
Sure.
And community crossings this year is coming out of our NVH funds because it's all paid. These projects here are strictly bridge projects for the preventative maintenance.
Okay.
How soon will we know if we get approved?
March. Okay, if you know how it goes, they are saying that to do by the end of this month, I gotta have all our stuff turned in by the end of this month. But they're saying March, but you guys know how that goes too. They say March, it could be April.
Yeah. But it's like you said too, we're not spending any money until we find out.
No.
So,
And the other thing, like you pointed out too, if we find out whether or not we're awarded this money, we're gonna do the project at some time anyhow. So
Yeah.
if we would go ahead and have an engineer, I mean, we wouldn't say yes to the engineering yet. But even if we're not awarded the money, they're still gonna be engineered sometime. And once they're engineered, then we can always reapply.
oh, right,
Or we can just go and do the project ourselves.
right,
So,
okay. Well, what do you guys think? What do you want?
Brad, you need from us then a commitment to fund the 20%. Is that what you need from us?
yes, I've got three financial commitment letters, one for each project. And that states the total project cost and what our share will be. So yes, it means it's fine if you guys agree to it, that we will commit to paying that if we awarded the money.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have to pay the engineering up front though, correct?
Not until we would see if we awarded the money. But yeah, if we get awarded the money, then we would go ahead with the engineering and pay for it, and that would move us up on the list.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion carries. And then that motion was for all three projects.
That's correct.
Is that all
That's
right?
correct.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Steve, did you say you second that? He said, now since Steve Bailey.
I said I second that motion.
I thought you were like, since you're not going to sign. Yeah.
Hey, did you figure that out, Tony? I made the motion and then agreed that it included all three projects. Is what I was trying to do.
Gotcha, yeah.
My apologies for not very clear communication today.
Well, trust me, trying to explain this stuff is not always easy either.
Brad, is it possible for you to get copies of that?
Yep.
As far as
Yep.
Just well, Steve, we appreciate you tuning in while we're on vacation, that's for sure.
Well, I guess while you guys are signing that, of course, the talk is the weather. We're gonna be out pre-treating today. We're gonna get all the trucks are getting checked over, the plows are getting put on, we're getting them inside, so they're ready to go. Good. And the way all the forecasts appear, it's gonna start later tonight, but not hit till really in the morning, the last 5 days. So yeah, Steve, enjoy your nice sunny weather down there.
But,
I mean, if you-
believe me, I'm watching the news back there. I know what you guys are in for.
You know, and if you would like, I'm more than willing to tell you anytime, day or night, and give you an update on what it's like if you'd like.
Yeah.
You do to a test. And then I'll make you healthy, so. But yeah, other than that, that's all I got.
Good. Mark, are we allowed to sign Steve's name and put remote next to it?
Yes.
And we're definitely back to using the big plows. Right?
Yes.
We're not using those straight plows at all. Yeah.
Now, tomorrow will be one of them, you know, they're saying 4 to 8, 5 to 10. So, you know, we can run the belly blades, you know, 4 to 6 inches, but if we get over that, we'll use the V plows and we'll open her up good, so.
All right.
Sign Steve's too.
Okay, thank you.
See how it goes with the room, check with Mark out there. A Franklin show.
Oh, yeah, yep. Yep. All right, that's all we got.
Thanks for getting those copies, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I just want to scan them over here, what are you going to do?
Hey, Rick.
I like going after him, especially when I ask him for money.
If you're not asking for as much as he is.
That's correct.
Well, you know who's got a bigger savings account than you do.
know.
Yeah.
Surely you're only looking for 20% though, right?
Yeah. Really, the only thing I really want to present to you today is, but I would like to get with you guys on the roof project and some quotes and my findings at some point in time. I'm not ready. I just want to talk to you guys about it. What I have today, Stan, is you're probably more familiar with this than Steve and Steve, is the power move and the direction that you kind of gave me to the next project in there. I have two quotes on tearing that wall down in there, that block wall,
Okay.
that I'd like to present. This is in the power room, which is affiliated with the generator project. The first one, and this is just tearing the wall down. This wall is located underneath the bleachers where we put the two door openings in, and it goes all the way up under the bleachers. It's not a very secure wall, it's a 4-inch wall. It needs to come down for that reason, and it also needs to come down because we have to widen up the room for what's going to be going in there. And our electrical panels and things will be mounted onto this one. So it's a block wall, it's a 4-inch block wall that'll be torn down and another one put up in a different location. The new wall will only go up about 10 feet. It won't go clear under the set of bleachers because there will be a ceiling in the room next door to this wall. But this is just tearing the wall down. It's kind of it's going to be a little difficult getting it started the way.
Well, as tall as that wall is, till they start taking it down, that's gonna be.
That's going to be a little,
Yeah.
they're going to have to brace it and so forth.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first one is from S&C Construction. The total amount is $7,460. The next quote that I have is from TG Construction. And that is for tearing the wall down, $11,500.
Well, and SC Construction is who has been consistently working down there in the power for us, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So we've been pretty satisfied with the work that they've done.
Yeah, it may have maybe taken a little longer than we wanted to, but then he broke off and had other commitments too. He did tell me, S&C, that they could start on that right away.
Well, now, as we talked about in the other meeting was, there's a primary concern to get, because once the old wall is down, the new wall goes up, that's when Gene can come in and start moving power into that, get ready for the generator and moving the panels into that. And then when that happens, it frees up space in the server room to where, we have room for additional rack space in the server. So it's kind of a consecutive thing with that wall being the primary thing that has to happen.
Right. We'll get that wall down, then I will come back and present another estimated quote to you about putting that wall back up.
Is it gonna be a security issue with that wall down? Or a safety issue?
No, it's closed in now. It's inside a confined basically rooms under construction, but you cannot get in there unless you have a fob or a padlock combination.
How soon are we gonna get on to the new wall?
I think right away. If S&C can do it right away. I think TG will, it's probably a couple weeks out.
And then you're recommending the new wall, maybe a block wall rather than a stud wall.
Yeah, because that it's a good mounting surface for our panels, plus it's fire protection. The new wall.
Okay.
And Rick, is this funding for this? Is this part of money that's already available, or where would the money come from?
Yes, it would come out of the generator project,
Cool, good deal.
and that would be Fund 8950 42601.
Okay,
Make a motion, we go with S&C on the 7,460.
second.
Okay, motion carries. So, yeah, as soon as he can get started on that, I think that'd be good.
He was here a little bit ago. Hopefully he's here and I'll be able to tell him. Snow, as Brent stated, it's kind of, this isn't gonna be the snow where we leave today at 4 PM and if all over with when we want to come to work, it's probably gonna start later in the morning. So during the course of tomorrow, we'll do the best we can. It's just the three of us is my resources of getting the entryway, steps, so forth, doorways. So we may need one entry, we've given another one, the way the snow may fall.
Stan volunteered to come and help shovel snow tomorrow.
Anybody else? I do have shovels.
I will be shoveling today. I'm gonna get it.
But just bear with us. We'll get into duration. Just-
So, yeah, you've had pretty good help from the Parks Department. You know,
We do have great help from the city and the parks. They'll take care of the parking lot. There's kind of commitment. They take care of the east side, but we will take care of door 3, door 4, door 2, door 3, door 4, door 5, door 6, and tomorrow it's food bank. So
yeah,
it may be challenging.
yeah.
Might slow them down.
Well, may, but these things are always.
Yeah, and part of the thing tomorrow, it sounds like it's gonna keep up our day.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
that's what I mean. I mean, by the time I may clean entry 2, we're going to go 3, we'll go back to 2 again.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right.
So I appreciate your work on that.
So anything else?
And then go to work in 125, is that?
That wall is completed. What next to is the screens and everything are up in there. So the next going forward with that would be that doorway going in through the Ethan's office. And then installing that fire door and then the door going into the room. And then that little office area where potentially we're gonna have a new hire come in for IT. So the wall is done, completed, painted.
Good.
That's
Then we're right on with that.
they did.
Good. Good.
On the roof, those quotes, is there a time limit on those quotes?
But there is, 2 of them were like 14 days, but I called to see if they would honor them, and then the other one was 30.
Okay.
I got some references on the one, the other 2 I didn't have such luck with as far as references. I was trying to seek them, but it's kind of a different, their expertise in rubber roofing. I believe, Steve, the crew that you had used on your personal use, highly recommended, but unfortunately, it's more money. So it's just a decision I'd like to talk with you guys just to see where we might want to go with it.
Well, I'm glad we got a little bit of time anyway, so
Right.
as far as, a couple of weeks at least to look at them.
So whenever I can sit maybe before a commissioner meeting or after the meeting that we can get together and just speak about it,
Yeah,
Maybe next week on after hours.
works for me.
yeah.
Does that work for you, Steve, next week after hours?
It will, thank you.
All right, yeah, that'll be here in person. All right. Anything else for Rick while he's here? No. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep. All right, Ed, did you have anything for us?
Yeah, real quick. I got the letters taken care of with you gentlemen. Those will be in the mail today. They on one project. We are beginning our preparation on property tax billing statements that we'll be mailing out in mid-April. And we're actually going to start on that next week. Tuesday of next week, I'll be in a statewide Zoom meeting with LED Mail Masters. They take care of the majority of all the billing statements in all of Indiana. And every year, they have a really nice joint seminar where they talk over everything. And Gabby and I, we have our notes on everything. We're going to tweak a few things, but it'll be very similar to what we had this last year. Couple of verbiages we're going to change, but it'll be fine. But with that, I will not be here next week. I'll be upstairs doing that meeting because it's the very same time. If you need me for anything, Kathy's going to be dialed in on all this stuff too, and I can run down if you need me for anything. But
Okay.
I'm going to say you probably won't. And then I also want to let you know I'm kind of proud. I've been named as a member of the Indiana Legislative Committee of the Indiana Counties Treasurers Association. And basically, we oversee the bills that run through the House and the Senate down at the State House, specifically bills that go toward the Treasurer's Office. And there's 8 people on the committee. We do most of it all by email, so there's no traveling or anything. Every now and again, every few years, I might be asked to speak in front of the State House.
So you may have to go down to the committee hearings possibly or something like that. Or...
Generally, you do every few years, you might, but it's rare that you do. Most week-to-week work is just done by email through all of us, but that's all I have.
Very good.
Except I do want to say, Steve Bailey, I talked with our broker in New York about the financial planning committee issue that you had a question on. And
Yes.
Everything is kosher, but I'd rather talk to you in person, so maybe we can do that next week.
Look forward to it.
Following week.
Yep, that'd be great, Ed. Thank you.
Got it. Okay.
All right, thanks, Ed.
Thanks, guys.
All right, the next thing we've got up is a discussion of the purchase of county insurance.
Has all of those. Items, I think we were to give up to 5 minutes if anyone is here to represent those, if there was something in their package they wanted to explain or just introduce themselves. They have been allotted 5 minutes to do so if needed.
Very good. All right, well, welcome, Matt.
And these will just be taken under advisement until next week when you actually make a decision on which one.
And then these are the bids for our liability insurance.
Property and casualty.
Property and casualty insurance.
So the first proposal is from Hill Group, HILB. And that is with our incumbent carrier, Agent Star Insurance. So they're represented here, if they want to come up. Yeah, so what I'll do is, we've got the proposal. If you want to come up and kind of present summary of your proposal, and then we can. Commissioners like copies. Yep, sure, we can do that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Leave one there for Steve too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Carla Greca, and this is Billy Davenport, Star Insurance, the Hill Group. We're located right at the corner of First and Monroe Street here in Decatur. And just want to thank you for over the past 10 years of trusting us with your insurance needs. You've always been with Travelers Insurance. This year, we presented a bid with Liberty Mutual to replace that Travelers policy that you had.
Very good. Well, we appreciate your work in the past. I know you helped us.
Yeah, and, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we're fine.
No, I just wanted to, take this brief. I wanted to be respectful of your time. We did an analysis side by side based off the spec sheets that were presented to agencies and did a comparison versus what we came up with from a carrier standpoint. And you guys have been with Travelers for quite some time. We've been monitoring the market. The property and casualty market in and of itself is what we call hardening. So pricing has been increasing. So it was actually kind of timely to go out to bid for you guys. We looked at Liberty, and Liberty came back with a very, very strong proposal, as notated in there. But I did want to show some differences between what you currently have with Travelers and with Liberty. Most of the differences are positives, and I'll explain. Currently right now with Travelers and also on your spec sheet, you had a co-insurance provision for 90%. With Liberty, there is no co-insurance provision. And what that means is the numbers that we provide Liberty, they take those as replacement cost. Co-insurance is basically an inducement to insure to value, where there is a potential for a co-insurance penalty. With Liberty, there is no potential because the co-insurance doesn't apply. Also, we are offering full replacement cost on everything, including the courthouse. Right now, you have functional replacement cost on the courthouse. Okay? Replacement cost is a broader coverage there for you. So that's a positive. I will tell you a difference, I would say maybe on the negative. Currently, you have $400,000 worth of spoilage. Okay? And I believe that was directed by Rex due to some medication.
Well, that's when we were keeping all the vaccines up here.
Yeah.
And we wanted additional coverage because we were keeping a lot of vaccines upstairs.
So on the spec sheet, there was $400,000. We checked with Liberty. Liberty, the max they will go is $250,000 on that. I don't know if that's still a concern, but
Well, we're probably, I don't know what we're keeping, but I'm sure we're not keeping anywhere near what we did last year or the year before.
yeah. So I did want to make you aware of that though. Also, a few other small things. On really everything matches up to what you have currently. On the abuse and molestation form, currently you have $250,000. Liberty is offering $1 million. So did want to make you aware of that. That's I would say a positive with Liberty.
Does this include all county departments on an insurance, the liability like that, including sheriff's department?
Everyone's.
Yeah, all departments.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And as you can see, I believe it's on page 31. The premium last year versus this year is substantially less. So there is a significant premium savings there as well. 30, yeah. Yeah.
Every week to digest all of this.
A lot of information, I understand.
You had to speed read it right now.
Yeah, yeah. And we're obviously available for any questions that may come up. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
I have one question for you before you leave.
Sure.
Can you help me with any experience you might have had with Liberty coming in lower initially and then as years go on having more aggressive increases? Do you think they're trying to buy the business, or what's your take on that?
And Steve, that's a very valid point. And it's something that we've monitored with Liberty over the past couple of years, where they have been aggressive on that initial offering. And where they do, I would say in the past couple of years have raised rates. I looked at some of our other municipal business that we have with Liberty, and on average, it's been about 8 to 10% increase with Liberty over the years. Coincidentally, it sat on a call with Liberty. It's an agent's advisory call last week, and that was one of my gripes was, we try to keep a steady playing field as much as we can. We don't like roller coasters. Our clients don't like roller coasters. It's a headache for everyone. So I think that's legitimate, Steve. Our experience has been anywhere, 8 to 10%. We haven't seen the wild swings, and I know it's happened because I talked to other brokers, and that has happened. But in our experience, it's been about 8 to 10%.
How does that compare to what you would say the market increase has been over the last few years?
Yeah, but it's maybe a little bit more than what the market. I mean, I've been looking at the market. I'd say on average over the past 3 years, really anywhere between 5 and 10 is kind of the norm. There's obviously certain coverage lines that are becoming more expensive, property being one of them. Law enforcement liability, that has certainly increased for a variety of factors. So, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Well, I appreciate your proposal and your presentation.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, the next proposal we have is from Grable Insurance. And Barb Heffer, is Barb here? No, Barb says she wouldn't be here due to the death of her mother. I don't know if anybody else is here from Grable or not. So we've got their proposal. Again, we'll have to review coverages. They do note that on the law enforcement liability, we currently have a claims made basis. This quote is for the claims occurrence basis. And so if we were to do that, we need to buy tail coverage. And so we need to check into that. But we'll just have to look at the quote and make sure it meets all the specifications, total premium. I think that is $405,472, and that's with Trident Public Risk Solutions.
So that tail coverage is for anything that might have happened last year that hasn't presented yet.
Well, yeah, between claims made and claims occurred, when you switch between those, then you've got to make sure you don't have a gap in coverage. So that's something we've got to look at. So anyway, that's the proposal by Grable Insurance.
I'm going to pass that down to them.
Yep.
Of course,
So yeah, I'll pass that down to you. And maybe we can have, if that's scanned, we can then email it to all three commissioners so they get a chance to look through that. You've got the proposal from.
it might be a little small if you had more copies of it.
Yeah, that's possible. You've got the proposal from Star, and then you need that one.
Yep.
And then the last,
They gave them copies of theirs, so,
okay.
and they have that as well. Bixler.
Yep. And then we've got the letter from Bixler and got representatives from Bixler here, I think. You guys want to come up and cover that?
Doug Nelson and Dustin Cressman. Slaughter Insurance. I'm going to let Dustin run with that.
Good morning. Matt Lehman apologizes he can't be here. He's down at the State House today, but he was also involved in this process. We submitted a letter with some information, and we'll just briefly kind of summarize that. I just wanted to explain a little bit how this process works on our end. With property and casualty insurance, specifically for municipalities, there's only a select few carriers that are interested in writing that type of business. And when you're talking like cities and towns and schools and counties, and when you add in counties, that field narrows even smaller. And then when you add in a county with a jail and a county home, it narrows down even more. So it's pretty safe to say there's only about 5 or 6 companies or carriers that would be players on the Adams County's property and casualty insurance. And after receiving the bid specs at the beginning of December, when we contacted our carriers, there was one that we elected not to use because the bid specs requested that the carriers have an AM Best rating of at least an A-, and they didn't qualify, so we didn't use them. And then a couple of the other carriers we got blocked because they had already received submissions from the other agents. So that left 1 or 2 that we had opportunities to quote with. And after we submitted all the information to them, they didn't feel that they had adequate time to properly underwrite the risk. And so we weren't able to prepare a formal proposal for you for today due to not having enough time for them to evaluate all the properties, and they possibly may have needed to inspect like some of the buildings and the jail and things like that. So what we laid out in our letter was just a few options to you guys to kind of proceed from here. So is there anything else that you want to add?
No, just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to at least try to give you a proposal. Unfortunately, just time constraints, we weren't able to secure anything, so just really appreciate the opportunity.
So I'm looking at your options here. It says, the first one is you have to remove the best proposal presented and be decided with next year at ample time to allow other carriers to put together a competitive bid. So is that something you didn't think you had enough time this time to bid, or?
Well, just maybe instead of towards the end of November or December, maybe get those bid specs out and say the end of September or beginning of October, just to maybe give some other carriers just a little more time to
Okay.
underwrite it a little bit better.
And then the second option, the push pause on the bid process, elect to renew with travelers and their same existing policies and set a new target date, effective date sometime in the spring.
Yeah, we're not bound. I mean, right now the renewal date is February 9th, and that's not anything that has to be set in stone. So if there's a time of the year that's better for Tony or the people that are doing the legwork on this, that effective date can be changed to June 1st or July 1st. Because at the end of the year, Tony said that's a busy time for him. So if there's a certain time of the year where it's better for you guys to go through this process, gathering all the information and working on this, that was just something that we were putting out there that would be an option, is to extend the date.
And then the third option, you elect to sign a broker of record letter assigning Bixler Insurance to be your servicing agent effective February 9th. We would need to submit this letter. Yeah, I don't understand that one for sure.
So we have all the agents that are having the opportunity to quote this have access to the same companies.
Okay.
We have access to Liberty Mutual. We have access to Travelers. We have access to Trident. I mean, Rabers and Hill Group and Bixlers all have access to the same companies. So what it kind of comes down to in some of these cases is a race for who can get the submissions into these companies first. And then like Liberty Mutual, once they're working with Star, we can't get a quote from Liberty Mutual as well. So option 3 is you guys just deciding which broker you want to work with going forward. So you could sign a broker of record letter where we would become your agent on February 9th with Travelers or with Liberty, or whichever proposal you would elect to go with. And then Bixler Insurance would handle the account moving forward. And if that's what you would elect to go with, I mean, we'd make a commitment to servicing the account regularly, meeting with you guys, annually, reviewing the coverages, and also marketing it with all the carriers as often as you'd like, every couple of years, to make sure that the price is staying competitive, but yet the coverages are also staying where they need to be as well. Because we feel it's important to do that as the market, ebbs and flows. It's important to do that every couple of years just to make sure it's still in the best interest of the county with where you guys are at. So
that's an option, but I don't know whether it comes into the bid process as far as instead of looking at a specific bid, just looking at it like we did the bridge inspection, to where we just choose the best company and then cut the price afterwards. I mean, is that
Well, you've got a renewal that's coming up, so you've got to renew coverage by February 9th. And so that option, whether to select your broker or not, that's something you can consider. I think at this point in time, you've got 2 proposals, and then you've got the letter from Bixler's with their options. I think you just need to take all these, take the proposals and a letter under advisement, and we'll take a look at the coverages. And then next week, hopefully we'll be in a position to decide what you want to do. And then if you decide you want to do something else in 2023 and get more quotes at some point in 2023, then that's something you can also decide. But at least for right now, I think we just need to compare what you have and weigh your options. But yeah, you've got, a quote from Hill Group, was $336,860. And last year, you had $424,704. And so what was you got the quote from Graber there? So we would have to compare all of everything that's submitted and look at coverages. Yeah, and the one from Graber that's placed with Trident is $405,472. So a little bit higher. So anyway, I think at this point, you just need a motion to take them all under advisement, then we can take a look at them, and then no doubt we'll have some questions too to ask, so. All right, Steve, anything else?
I'm good, thank you.
So moved on the motion.
Okay. We have a motion to take the bids under advisement.
Second.
Motion carried. Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you all for presenting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is Mike here? Do you want to go over that as far as purchase of tile for the county?
And I can probably handle that about the surveyor. And it was 100,000.
Yes, 100,000.
Remember, we did this last year. I think it's IMI that goes down to a local shop. And with the shipping issues with tiles, surveyor needs so many tiles in inventory to be able to do that quickly, so they don't have to wait on shipping, which could be weeks. In order to do that, they're requesting commissioners allow out of their budget up to 100,000 for the year to get these tiles. Then we'll pay that back.
But that goes back into general.
That would, yes.
So they would, eat the fund, we would have we'd start a line item, they balance down to zero, or how would that work?
Well, I don't, if you remember last year, you threw 50,000 before we realized if they were 78,000, they had to come in and do an extra additional, which is why they're doing 100,000 this year.
Yeah.
So they hopefully don't go over at the and I don't know how much that by the time, I don't think it'll be 100,000 at a time. How long is the payback process for you that they get money back in there? What do you know what was last year? Weeks, months?
I don't think there was anything said, it was, as they spend it, then she turns in a claim,
Yeah.
reimbursed.
So it gets reimbursed kind of with the tile as they buy tile. This is just to allow them to have tile on hand, so they don't run into a problem where we got a broken tile, but no tile, and they have to wait 3 weeks to get it.
Well, let me ask you this, between you and Bree, I mean, should we kind of keep track of the reimbursement as they use a tile? I mean, kind of keep track of what their inventory is versus what they've used and reimbursed, or is that not necessary?
I mean, yeah, there should be there should be some sort of tracking if they're asking, if they're spending out 50,000, there should be 50,000 back.
So you don't know what the balance is today?
Not without looking it up. And I wanna, I guess I would like to talk to some other counties and kind of see how they do it, because that is more work, I mean, you're doing double or triple the work. Because we're paying it out of commissioners, she's doing a claim to pay it out of commissioners. Then we wait until they use it, then we're turning around and doing another claim, cut a check, pay it back in.
Well, one of the things that we discussed at that time was combining inventory between the highway department and the surveyor. That they didn't feel that, or they felt like logistically that would be hard to track who used
But
what.
you're still gonna do the same thing, because if highway purchases it, they're gonna pay it out of highway monies. And then, so that's gonna be a claim to pay, and then when surveyor uses it, surveyor's gonna have to do a claim to reimburse highway. So it's the same thing, you're just using a different fund, and I don't know how that works. If highway purchases tile that's not going to be used for that with highway monies. You would have to ask state board on that.
I'm not sure about, I know.
Well, if you talk to other counties and kind of see, you know, whether they've got an easier system. But right now, we're gonna have to go to council for an additional appropriation into the commissioner's budget next time.
And the additional appropriation needs turned into me by Monday. Because I have to get an advertisement.
As long as you got the right fund number, then they can just get it signed this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because, yeah, they've got an inventory line item. Or we've got an inventory line item, I should say.
Yeah, in the commissioner's budget.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in the meantime, I guess we'll do that, additional appropriation, and then if you find out an easier way to do it, then.
I mean, if you approve this today, it still has to go before council for approval of the additional.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 100,000 line item for tile.
I'll second, but I guess I'm confused why this inventory doesn't set on the surveyors, in the surveyor's set of books, and why it has to come out of the commissioner's budget.
It has to do with state board of accounts and what you can buy, what the surveyor can buy out of maintenance funds. They're not allowed to use the maintenance funds to purchase inventory, so the county has to buy the inventory, and then it gets charged to the systems as it's used. It's a maddening system, quite honestly, but that's what we've been directed by state board of accounts, the way we have to do it, so.
And part of what makes it maddening to me is, you know, that when that tile is used, that money cannot go back into that line item. It has to go into county general and is not tracked as a reimbursement.
So, yeah, I mean, we can have another conversation with the state board of accounts here, maybe before the council meeting, and see if there's any other way to do it, but that's the way it's set up right now, and it was set up that way.
So the surveyor is charged with doing the work, but they can't buy any inventory to do the work with.
Correct. Well, the way they did it in the past, they didn't have to keep inventory because they kept it right here at IMI. So it wasn't an issue.
Okay.
So when I closed the plant down here, that's when the surveyor said, hey, I want to keep my own inventory. So
I got
other than that, they just build it out to the specific job as they needed it. So that's where everything changed. So that has always confused me too. All the funds that the surveyor controls and how specific the parameters are on what they can use them for. Can't use them for inventory, can't use them for equipment, can't use them.
Yeah, it's not an efficient system.
Yeah.
But, you know, we can check with State Board again and see if there's any other workaround, but I think for now, you know, the motion by the commissioners is to, you know, approve making the request for the 100,000 additional into that line item so that at least you've got funds appropriated that you can buy inventory.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Did you second that, Steve?
I did.
All right, motion carries. Lou, do you want me to get together with you as far as advertise, do you want to advertise that appropriation?
Yeah,
Okay, I mean, you don't need me. All right. Mark Bowles.
Three subdivisions. Probably familiar with all of them. One is a Bailey Farms subdivision. Corner of College Trail from Salem Road, between 100 and 150 north. And it is going from this one lot that's blue to 3 lots. With road frontage. And plenty of size.
All right.
All I got.
Steve, were you gonna abstain from this one? Or-
I do. I need to abstain from that one.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
And these two you should be familiar with. I get things from these, but. So. This is the county property. I don't have a little map to show you, so help you with that. So this is the Golden Meadows West subdivision. So moved.
Second.
Now, will this be, they will not be able to further subdivide that?
They can do a major.
They can do a minor.
Yeah, and on that subdivision, you're approving it the way it was proposed here or subdivided. But I recommend you not approve that plat yet until you have the auction and see how it actually sells. Because, yeah, if it all sells in one piece, the buyer may not want it subdivided, in which case then we just don't record the plat and it sells the way it is.
Okay.
That's all lines. I need a motion not to record.
No, we need a motion to approve it, but then as part of that, we just say with the understanding we're not going to record it until such time as the property actually sells.
I'm gonna take it to the auditors for their part where they approve things. Then when they're done, they'll call me, I'll take it back to my office. It's just gonna sit dormant until you have an option.
Okay.
And then, again, if somebody buys it all, they don't wanna have it subdivided, I'm sure they're all, they can subdivide it how they want in the future, you just don't get it recorded. Or maybe one person gets 2 of them and not one of them, and then you have to tweak a couple lines on here, and then we record. But either way, you don't wanna just do it until you know.
And that's typical with auctioneers when they get, ground, surveyed and platted in several tracts to be offered for sale that way, but they won't record the actual plat until they see how it sells.
That's what I was gonna ask you, if other people can have that same option.
They do. So This is the east side. So moved.
Second.
All right, motion carries. That's all I've got.
Hey, Mark, personal question.
Yes, sir.
On that first subdivision that you approved, does that work the same way there? Because that farm is going to be for sale the latter part of February. So with that,
You can, yes.
yeah, that might make some sense because that could sell all as one unit also. That'll be offered for sale that way, I know.
Yeah, I can tell them to hold it and bring it back to my office if you want.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. You got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. I've got something here if you want to take we got the bids that were advertised for 10 o'clock. If you want to, Danny Johnson and his wife are here too.
Oh, sure.
Take that and take care of it.
Yep.
All right, we're just gonna kind of adjust the agenda here under my business. We've published a notice for the sale of county surplus property. This was a parcel that was sold at tax sale a number of years ago, and the county offered to sell this to the adjoining owners and set a minimum bid of $500 to the adjoining owners. That notice was sent out to all adjoining owners, and then also was published 2 times in the newspaper. And the terms for the offering of sale is that you were to receive a written bid. Anybody interested in putting an adjoining owner to purchase the property, which we do have one bid, and that is from Dennis and Patricia Johnson, the amount of $500, which is the minimum opening bid. And my knowledge, we don't have any other bids. So that makes this bid good. We did a motion to accept that bid, and we will get a quick claim deed prepared, and we'll get it transferred and get it back on the tax rolls.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Okay, motion carries. All right. Thanks for your participation. Get it back on the tax rolls and we can put it to good use. Yep. Yep.
And put up a Carvana tower or something. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Patty.
Okay. So you can go back to your agenda.
Okay. I see Mark's here. Did you have something? I don't have it on the agenda. I don't know.
In support of Shannon.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Shannon today.
All right.
So,
Yeah, you have a rough crowd there.
I did.
All right, Sheriff? He must have stepped out. Did we lose the sheriff?
That's hard to do.
You want me to go stand? I can be quick.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Randy Ritz. So this is Randy Rowe. He's on the board of the Soil and Water Conservation District. And the board voted last Tuesday night during the regularly scheduled board meeting to recommend a candidate for the conservationist position to you guys. His name is Tyler Schuman, and he has tentatively accepted the position pending your approval of their recommendation to the position. I could probably have him start next week or so, but that's future me problems. So you want to add anything?
Nope, I think Shannon explained earlier what his credentials were maybe previously.
So is this a unanimous recommendation?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
very good. Well, that's exciting. Steve, do you have any questions, or Steve?
No, thanks for the work, both of you.
Sure.
All right. And, so then this will be done as an appointment, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Is the board gonna review in 180 days?
I think it,
We're going to review in June, which is our normal review time, but I'm going to work with them to put together a plan on how I can integrate myself into that process, just to make sure that it's
I know
done
you discussed
appropriately.
that on Tuesday.
And then this appointment will be until the end of the calendar year?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, until December 31st.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we employ this young gentleman.
I'll second.
Okay, very good. We appreciate all your work on this, both of you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
very good, thank you.
Oh, good.
Thanks.
So I only have two other things besides that. I just sent you guys this morning the 2022 COBRA rates. They have not changed for medical. They're still the same because the employee premiums did not change in 2023. The only updates to that rate sheet is the dental prices. I've already sent them over to Mike and the Ally team and Elaine and the Shafley Plan Management team. We're just waiting on y'all's approval, and then they'll be able to get them published.
All right, so take a motion to approve these.
Make a motion to approve the claims.
Great.
Second.
Please. Do you have any questions, Steve?
No, I'm good.
Second. All right.
The other thing that I sent you guys, this was last week, was the summary benefits of coverage for 2023. We made some changes from the 2022 summary benefits, and these are just the updates. So Allied needs these to be approved, and then they'll get the SBC published on the website for members to access.
And Shannon, when is this effective?
It was effective 1/1. We just weren't able to get it in work before that. It should have been approved in December, but we just didn't get there.
Got it. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion carries.
Thanks very much.
And then did you have something with Mark, did you say?
No, afterwards.
Oh, after, oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Hey, somebody found the shirt. All right. We're gonna send out a detective.
Send them.
Which one? One that he's doing.
The resolution
No, the ordinance.
or ordinance, I'm sorry, ordinance,
Is
a
there
fund
copy-
ordinance.
a Copy of that ordinance somewhere? Good video.
She just stepped out.
What's the fund for?
It's a asset forfeiture fund that the federal government, we received that asset forfeiture of like $9,376.19, something like that. And we put it into our other drug fund that we use that for. Well, end of the year, when I have to update the fund expenditures, they were told it cannot be commingled with any other state money, federal funds. It's got to be by itself. So Julie Marie put this ordinance together, it separates it, it fulfills the requirement of the federal government, and that's what this ordinance was written for. But this type of forfeiture from Department of Justice, that's where these funds have to go to if we ever get any more in the future. This all came off of a criminal investigation, started here, went up in Maryland County, and feds took over the investigation. There was quite a bit of assets seized and stuff like that, and this was our portion of the seizure, basically.
You're
Do
trying.
you have a copy of that ordinance?
I thought Julie Marie was gonna bring that over.
That's what was emailed.
Yeah, I didn't, we never had to do this before. I would just never had
We
that.
never had asset forfeiture like this before, and I think they are changing, like I said, if we can get a seizure from another
With master or something.
from another, like this is justice, if we got something from somebody else, we probably have to create another fund. They're just keeping the money commingled. And the ordinance allows it to be spent for various things. One of them is gonna be, it's firearms, and we're gonna be using it, we're purchasing, new rifles, this year. The money's gonna be help offset those costs.
Yeah.
I assume that, once the judgment is done, those assets are just ours.
Correct. There's no requirements other than that. It's just, and then once, if I use up the money for that purchase, then I log into a database on the web and tell the feds what it was used for, show them what it was used for, and then it's closed out. But I think we will keep that fund there in case any other future sealers come in, and we have a place for it, and it's already covered by the ordinance.
Who's gonna print that, and that'd be something for these guys to sign, or should they approve it? I thought it was gonna be there. What's that?
Are you doing the annual one? Do you have that one?
I have it, but I'm gonna make some changes to it. So I'll talk to the owner about that one. So if we do this one first, it would be number one. If he has another one, it would be number two. If he doesn't. So did they do this one here?
And this ordinance was copied off of basically another ordinance that when a case is disposed of, and it was, let's say it was a dealing case or any type of case, and there's restitution made back to the county for the investigation's costs, that's what we already have a established fund, and that's where that money goes to. And we modeled this fund off of that one. But we just can't commingle the funds. There's the only difference. I didn't know that at first, and then when I found out about it, got old Julie Marie, easy fix, she said.
All right. So we just need a motion
To approve ordinance 2023-1. 2023-1, which is an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners, which provides for the establishment of a fund for federal asset forfeitures to be used by the Adams County Sheriff's Department. And then it sets forth.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep, thank you. I'll send it down here for your signature.
Jeremy, did you want to come up?
Good morning, almost noonish, I guess.
And, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. At the last county council meeting, we went through, I got another one if you need one, or.
You're okay. I got it. So.
We have reviewed three ARP fund requests for various projects split apart. And today I'm just looking to see if there's any questions that you guys have regarding any of those projects, and to ask for approval for late spring, early summer construction on some of these projects. Still very early. Talked to Mark. I still don't have all the quotes nailed down yet, which we will, and I will give you guys all that. But basically, in short, if you can kind of lead through some of this, I'm not going to read it all to you, but it's various improvements within the county parks is the one application. A lot of the county parks have been let go for quite some time due to lack of cash within the Park and Rec Fund. Communicated that the last several years, the last few years. This fund come available, so I thought it was a good opportunity to apply for some of these funds. So basically, council wasn't taking money out of other budgets or trying to reappropriate some funds. You can see the majority of it. A lot of it's ADA compliancy in the parks itself. A lot of the floors in the pavilions are pretty well busted up. They're trip hazards, a lot of different places. For the most part, So we'd be replacing a lot of those floors, redoing some of the parking areas, making it more ADA compliant, which is Americans with Disability. And just really cleaning things up. For several years, all we've been able to do is mow and trim for the most part. So you can about imagine the shape that some of these are getting in.
Is this part of what council had already approved all of this?
Correct.
So you're just now coming to the commissioners for, basically for the ARPA request that you did at council in January, you're now seeking the commissioner's approval on what council's already approved.
You also approved appropriations, and then I think the commissioners then, you know, well, if you want to do the projects, then we'll get votes, and then you can do the projects. So.
So the improvements for the actual parks, for the operating fund 1219, the estimated value overall, that's scattered throughout all the county parks, is $220,790. And the other request for the fitness center, which is out of non-reverting 1179, was $25,938.58. Then there was a separate application filled out for the pickleball courts and renovations at Riverside Center. I believe that was 74.9 or 75.9, and then they added 20,000 to that.
And that one's not in with this group of.
That was not in with this group. That was a separate application. Now, I do also have another application in, because for the last several months, we've been talking about the covered bridge, which is Commissioner's property.
Yeah.
Rex sat on our board as a commissioner for the park board, as a non-voting member, so he's been working a lot with us on a lot of these projects, and that was something that Rex brought up as a council member that, you know, we really needed to educate you guys and try to apply for that money. And basically, the bridge just needs some maintenance, needs tightened up. The cables need tightened up. There's some wood that needs to be replaced. And then also, at one time was your red cover bridge is now pink, just because of fading and it's really faded out. We've been having some vandalism down there. Upcoming artists with spray paint and stuff like that. It's really starting to show its age. We have, what's that?
Mike Schwartz has always been the one that has worked on it.
Yes. I do have a quote from Mike, but I don't have two other quotes to satisfy the request today to ask for that.
Well, I think in a situation where he has worked on it familiar, I think we're okay with it, Mike Schwartz on to do the repairs on that bridge down there.
Yeah, but you gotta follow procurement requirements. We gotta get more than one quote.
We do have to get, even though he's done all the work in the past.
You still have to, we had it bid years ago, so we gotta get quotes.
Okay.
So, but that is outside of what we've asked for and what was tentatively approved at the last meeting. So I have that application into council and legal at this point.
Gotcha.
So for the purposes of our office and Bree keeping track of everything, in January, the council approved, and I'm just looking at the minutes that I have, they approved revenues for a pickleball court to be constructed at Riverside Center in Decatur, the Park and Rec to upgrade the county parks, and a fitness center upgrade. And the total amount of all that was $339,730. So anything that you're presenting today that is not included in that $339,730 would be a separate request. And this is just to help us to keep track of, because there's an audit, we have to know what.
I'm totally familiar with it from on the other side.
And everything I've seen in the papers you presented today are things that we are responsible for without a doubt, as far as county parks, as far as the bridge, the fitness center, the Ringwood Park,
Yes. And any of the county parks, the fitness center. Now, the group that
that co-applied for a pickleball court. They were county residents, but they were asking for it to be constructed at the Riverside Center. So that was the only difference, and that's a city building.
Yeah.
But that is a joint effort between both city and county park boards.
Right.
So
Do we want to take those all together, or how do you want to look at those? As far as the covered bridge, the Lynn Road?
But the 30,800 is not in that 220 proposal, is it?
it is not.
All right, so probably we're doing two separate things. One would be this request today for the 30,800.
But we can't do that without three.
Can't have, right, not doing that. So if we're taking that under advisement to get that, then we don't need to worry about anything until such a time that we get it. I think the other question is, and that council approved the 339,000 that they approved for Park and Rec, Fitness Center, county parks, pickleball, all that is included as one. So you can either say yes to all of it that the council did, or you could say yes to this part or not this part. We just need to know. And then Mark is also saying that on some of those higher costs, you really have, you may need to fulfill the procurement policy on that as well.
See, it will not be one total package. It will be a contractor doing this and that. Some of it, we would be doing it for in-kind service. It's just things that we do. You know, it's the little stuff. So
I think they would just have to adhere to Mark in saying which of those things would require, it's enough of a threshold that it would require certain procurement and so forth. So that would be a Mark question on that. So as far as today, are we approving the ARPA requests or approving the projects?
You got the council has appropriated funds based upon those requests. And I think you got to decide which of these projects now do you want to do and select the ones you want to do. And then we'll authorize Jeremy to get the quotes that we need to actually do the work. And then once you get the quotes that you have to have, then you can award the contract. So if they're available.
So we can, gentlemen, if you want to look at them individually, we can do that, or if you want to look at them together, we can do that. So.
Or, you know, and you've got it in front of you, I mean, you can take it under advisement and take a look at it. If you got any other questions, decide.
I mean, we take it under advisement. It's not great. I had it in my hands.
Yeah, I think you gotta take some time to look at it all over, see what you might wanna do, and maybe what you maybe don't wanna do right now. Then that way you can give Jeremy some clear direction on what projects are gonna get done and when.
If there's any information that is not contained in there, that was also part of that, I might have it, Julie might have somebody, like pickleball court and all that, they have sent stuff too. We need to make sure these.
I would have to send that over. That was not in that, but everything that was in the application that I submitted was all right there.
I'll look and see if I have, or Julie might have, so these guys can look at everything that the council approved and see the projects and so forth and so on. I'll get that out to you guys, or I might even be able to find it now while we're finishing up here.
So for example, we have two request forms that say see attached. One.
Have you had a chance to look at these, Steve?
The only one that I've seen was the quote on the work on the bridge. I don't believe I've seen anything else.
I made a motion that we move, we table this till next week.
I'll second that.
Okay. The one funds request form that says see attached is $220,790. And I don't know, I mean, all these are attached together, I don't know what all that is. And then the other request form was $25,938.58. Also says see attached, And all that.
If you look at the fund numbers, operating fund is your county parks, the 1179 is the actual fitness center.
Okay, so 1179 is the treadmills and the flooring.
The 1179 is if you look at page 2 at the very top, it says fund 1179.
Okay,
If you add those two up, it comes up to the 25.
okay, gotcha.
And then if you go to page 3 and 4, that is your
So this would be the bridge,
227.90.
so that would be the bridge,
The bridge is not on there.
bridge is not on there. It should be Lindgrove,
The Lindgrove Covered Bridge Park, basically, Monmouth.
and Monmouth, you say?
Yep.
Okay, what do we have in Monmouth?
Ball Diamonds, the Ball Diamonds,
I thought Root Township had that.
not anymore.
Oh, I see.
About 6 years or so ago, the township
Gotcha.
come to the commissioners and come to the park board about taking that over when they sold it.
Okay.
When they sold the actual building and the rest of the ground to private individual. So it's the Ball Diamond, the park, and then the woods
Okay,
back behind the building.
but we don't have anything itemized on Monmouth though, right?
No, it's just kind of a general, it doesn't need a whole lot, it just needs some little maintenance here or there on it, stuff like that.
So Lindgrove, Monmouth, anything else in with that 227.90?
It's the 1219 fund.
Is that?
It's the 1219 fund, it's the operating fund, the 220.
Right, but I mean, as far as projects. So that would be,
I just emailed you guys everything, every one of those projects that Julie Reed said, there's a bunch of attachments. I just emailed that to all 3 commissioners and to Mark.
Good, thank you. Hey, Jeremy, this is Steve.
Yeah.
One question I think I'm going to have as I look through this is regarding the money being spent on the pickleball courts, basically on city property. Talk to me a little bit about what your board thought about spending county money to improve the city property. Help me with that logic.
They're supporting it as long as you guys do. You know, we're in the county also, and it's basically county residents that are requesting those dollars for that improvement.
Has the city, have you spoken with the city about funding any of that improvement on their property?
No, they started with this board here, this group.
Okay, very good.
all right?
Thank you. Thanks for coming in, Joe. Yeah. Some all you also. Okay. Yeah. Oh, this is that one. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we signed it. He didn't leave me a copy to give us. It was this, I didn't see a copy of it. Or I'd scan you a copy of it. Whatever you want to do.
Sure, Mark, did you have anything?
Yeah, you can just scan it, send it to Brooke, since she knows where to put it.
Yeah, one more thing, we've got,
Government form for Scott Boniface to the Park and Recreation Board. That's for, well, gotta look at our end of the year. Gotta look at our term.
I wonder if they have to also do any kind of form for soil and water conservation.
Probably. That would be another, once they speed limit change. Isn't that a commissioner's appointment? Yes, that'd be a CD.
in our Geneva. Yeah, hospital. Did we do
We'll need an
that
appointment.
2 weeks ago? You said he would have it for us this week.
Okay.
So that's a 4-year appointment. Steve, you're on the Park and Recreation Board for Commissioners, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Did you have, did somebody talk with Scott then, Boniface?
I guess assuming somebody did because she gave us that name.
Should have asked Jeremy while he was here. I've got his phone number, let me see.
Is this something we need to record? It probably affects you more than anybody else, I bet.
Hey, sorry, I would have to ask you, do you want us to appoint Scott Boniface then? Is that who we're supposed to appoint?
Okay.
Okay, that's a 4-year term.
Unless we need to sign a new contract.
That's what I had on my sheet, so I just thought so it'd be January 1 here in 4 years, so. Okay, we'll get that done today. Thanks. Got that. Yeah, it's a 4-year term and yeah, we need to reappoint him. So Park and Recreation Board term commences January 1, 23. So that'd be 2/26. Is that right?
So December
27?
31st.
Yeah, it'd be December 31st of 26. Any questions on that?
Motion approved.
Second. Okay, all right, so that can be signed and we can have him come in and sign that.
I don't think there was anything else for me other than this, unless you have something else.
Now, we received a notice then from the certification from the Plan Commission. It's a certification recommending a recommendation on proposal to change the zone map. So this is when they hold a hearing on rezoning. Since it's an advisory Plan Commission, they hold the hearing, they publish the notice, they hold the hearing, and then they make a recommendation following that hearing. And in this particular case, it was a rezoning to change zone maps. It was petition filed by Chris Gerard and Ben Gerard for property at the northeast corner of 700 North and 700 West. The proposal is for rezoning of the property from A agricultural to I1 light industrial. Land is located in Section 20, Purple Township, shown on the map attached. Copy of the Plan Commission's findings of fact is also attached. The Adams County Plan Commission hereby certifies the rezoning described to the Board of Commissioners with a due pass recommendation and a 5-2 vote. So the Plan Commission approved it, and they recommend to the Commissioners that you
approve that rezoning. If you're, now you've got, it might be 60 days. There's a period of time in which to act on that, but unless you've got any questions on it, we need to prepare a zoning amendment, an ordinance to the zone map, so I can bring that back to the next meeting, and then you can act on it at that time if you're ready to act on it.
Hey, Steve, were you at that meeting?
Yes, I was.
Interesting to know what the two dissenters were thinking about that. Any thoughts on that?
It was down to where the president had to make the final choice because you need a 5 majority vote, which
Okay.
was board members. 2 board members, which was one of them was myself, which I do not vote. Another
Right.
board member abstained himself. And so that left it a 4-2 vote. There's
Okay.
quite a bit of discussion on taking that land out of agriculture because of the hog barns that are around there and the manure application. And they're bringing in semis and it's on the county line road. And West County said they were gonna fix the road up. So, you know where that's at?
Yes. Yeah, they're gonna be using, that as Wells County's road to take care of and maintain. The property is on our side.
Right.
Yeah, Wells County's aware of it.
Is there a reason they asked for rezoning as opposed to a variance?
They're going to be constructing bridge, something, like putting them together there. They're taking 11 acres and making a stone lot out of it.
Basically, I'm sorry, Steve, but also wasn't, they're gonna bring the steel in and cut it to size?
Yes, cut it to size,
Yeah, they're gonna cut it to
put it
size.
together, then put it, then haul it out. And, they're gonna take the topsoil off, put up 4 to 5 foot dirt barrier all the way around with topsoil, and then lay down stone. No lights, no nothing.
We need to act on that today.
No, don't have to.
I mean, can we, or
Yeah, I'm just letting you know that it's been certified to you. The planning commission recommended passing, and you have a period of time in which to either approve it, disapprove it, or send it back, so that we'll keep that.
Steve, do you want to add that today? Do you want-
I need to make a copy, yeah.
Do you want to table this, Steve?
Yeah, I think that would be great. I'm just concerned about what the surrounding property looks like, and just, yeah, I'll pick your brain a little bit more about what the plan commission was thinking when they recommended pass on that.
So you making a motion, or do you want me to make a motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
Okay, motion carries, we'll table it until the next meeting.
All right. That's everything I got.
Anything else from you, Steve, that you've been working on?
Not right off the bat.
Okay. Steve, anything else from you?
Stan, did we have another fund that I saw Julie Marie proposed for an animal shelter donation fund that we needed to act on?
Yes, because we did receive a donation specifically for the animal shelter. So we didn't have a fund to drop that into. I think that is the reason behind that.
I have that, and there's a couple of changes that I think we need to make to it, so I'm gonna talk to Julie Marie about it. I do have.
Very good, very good. Thank you. I have nothing else, Stan.
And then the other thing as far as that speed limit.
Yeah, that speed limit, did you have that? Ordinance on that speed limit? God, yes, where is that? Brad, where's Brad at? Yeah, all right, that's my,
From 150 to 27.
yeah, I gotta get that.
I'm not
speed.
sure he's out.
Yes.
I'll send an email to Brooke here, tell her to put that on my to-do, because I forgot it.
A lot easier if we could just put the signs up and call it good.
Yeah. Need to amend the ordinance.
Yeah.
It is interesting, in the bills that are going through the House right now, or the General Assembly, there is something about changing speed limits in rural areas that they're going to make it a little easier. They're not gonna have to do all the engineering and all that, and the studies, and something about it. It's gonna make it easier for the county officials to make that change.
Right.
I saw that.
More of a home rule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
I'll get it on Brooks' radar.
Okay. All right. So very good. If you guys don't have anything else from the general public? All right, we'll accept the motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
Okay.